The reality of editing. The neuroticism of editing. In last week's episode, when I published the video, there was an editing mistake in that, and I have egg on my face. I found it quite embarrassing, and I will include that error right here so you can see what I'm talking about. It was about 29 minutes in. If you enjoy this show without ads, if you enjoy this not being behind a paywall, it is by the support... not being behind a paywall, it is all thanks to the support of amazing... I have to admit that when I was reviewing the episode after it went live, I was incredibly embarrassed that this made it in, but I have left it in because I think it's a learning moment. And if that is the most embarrassing thing that has happened over the last week, I'd say I'm doing pretty good. If that's the worst thing that happened, so be it. But like I said, I think we can learn from it, and the first thing we can learn is how incredibly neurotic I am, or maybe the more fair way to put it would be how much of a perfectionist I try to be, because I did not need to stop. I did not need to retake that and try to say things more clearly. It was abundantly clear what I was trying to say. In the first take, I stumbled and said, "It is by the support." Then I tried to take it again, I stumbled, I didn't get there, and then on the third attempt, I finally got there. See, in the last week's episode, I would try to retake this about 5 times because I keep screwing up. We're not going to this week, even though I've already done this type of editing about 15 times. But the reason I am calling it neurotic is it would have been fine without that correction, or I could have said, "This is made possible by the support of these individuals." But no, I wanted to come off more professional and more eloquent than I actually am. I am the Joe Biden of podcasting. I cannot speak, and through the power of editing, I'll look good and sound good. Just don't make me go on stage. Do not make me debate anybody, because that would be horrible. Am I a zombie? Am I Joe Biden? I don't know. But instead of... somebody's going to get pissed about that. I don't care. Get upset. Our president is brain dead. Instead of... I really should edit that out. Instead of just accepting it for what it was, I chose to retake it. Something else I want to point out, because if anybody watches that, if anybody were in the same room with me while I'm recording, they would think I'm insane, because I will say the same sentence 15 times trying to get into the next topic. The reason I do that, I said, what did I say in this clip? I completely forgot. It's not behind a paywall. I kept saying that. The reason I was saying that is to try to get the intonation or try to get the inflection correct, because it's very easy to record 2 sentences, but making sure they flow into each other is very difficult. So I was saying the last sentence that I said correct, and then trying to flow into the next thought. So that is why I did that. And if you do this type of editing, I think that's a really good practice. You may come across like an absolutely insane person. You may come across ridiculous. I do, which is why I found it embarrassing that made it into the episode, but that is the reality of the editing. Most of the time, it is truly unnecessary. I understand the appeal of podcasting is the authenticity, the imperfections, the personality. Everything in a podcast does not need to be perfect. This isn't a final film. This isn't something that is going out that needs to be a polished turd. It needs to be you. It needs to be authentic. So I understand the editing is unnecessary. Having those flaws is good. But I like presenting information as clearly and concisely as possible. So I think being a bit more edited, or editing a bit more heavily rather, is fine. I'm not taking out my personality. I still leave in a lot of who I am. I leave in a lot of the ridiculousness, but I like being concise. I like speaking clearly. I like not having a bunch of flubs in there. So that is why I do it. I just wanted to bring that up because it made me question, why do I do these edits? It looks ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is unnecessary, but it makes me happier with the final product. And by editing out a lot of the mess ups that I do, I think it saves people time. So I think it's worth it.